WXII 12 News at 10 on the Triad CW starts now.
On this busy News Tuesday, we have the most drastic action taken by any college or university in the state when it comes to the battle against coronavirus.
And in Commitment 2020, we have another big night for the former vice president, why some pundits are now saying the race is his to lose.
But first at 10, we want to get you up to speed on the impact and spread of coronavirus and in particular what it's doing to North Carolina.
In just the last few hours, Duke University has decided to suspend in-person classes on its campus in Durham. The president shared on social media that the university is extending spring break to March 22nd now. When classes resume on the 23rd, the university will switch to online distance learning the next day through April 20th. A number of colleges and universities across the country have taken similar precautions.
All this comes in the wake of a state of emergency declared earlier today by the governor, Roy Cooper. The State Emergency Operations Center is now activated to help agencies coordinate from one location, and it makes it a lot easier to get medical supplies and increase funding. It also protects regular North Carolinians from price gouging, especially now that a number of stores, pharmacies, and grocers are having a difficult time keeping things like wipes and sanitizer in stock.
Right now, the number of presumptive positive cases in North Carolina remains at 7. 6 are in Wake County. The other one is in Chatham County. Today, state health officials recommended that people at high risk of getting coronavirus should avoid large crowds and non-essential travel as much as possible. They also encourage residential establishments like assisted living facilities and nursing homes to restrict visitors. And while there aren't any confirmed cases in the Triad, leaders with Guilford County Schools aren't taking any chances.
It is one of the biggest school districts in the entire state, biggest one in the Piedmont. Let's go to Brandon Bates. He joins us live in High Point with the plan now in place to limit the spread in Guilford County schools. Brandon, good evening.
Well, we've heard health officials say who's most at risk, those who are 65 years or older or people who have an underlying health condition. While cases among children are pretty rare at this point, Guilford County Schools is not letting that stop them from protecting their students as well as their staff. As North Carolina enters a state of emergency, these school leaders of Guilford County are racing to keep their 125 schools and nearly 75,000 students coronavirus free.
We've called it our COVID-19 Preparedness Project Team, and that's made up of all the departments within our district.
The Chief Student Services Officer laid out her plan to keep the virus out.
Important of hand washing for 20 seconds or longer, coughing in your elbow, no handshakes, doing fist bumps or elbow taps, avoiding people that are sick. And if you are sick, staying at home.
The plan is laid out in 4 phases. Right now, they're in phase 1, which is preparation phase. Phase 2 comes if there's a confirmed case in the county. Phase 3 comes if someone in Guilford County schools contracts coronavirus. Phase 4 comes if there are several cases at several schools.
The additional level of preparedness for this virus is that it's a different virus, and so our guidelines are given by the CDC.
Staff recommended the board approve $150,000 or more to enter into contracts for cleaning, sanitizing, and the disinfecting of schools, and that's only if this gets to phase 3 and 4, meaning someone or several people in Guilford County schools has contracted the virus. And that vote passed unanimously.
We as a district are prepared. We're working really hard to keep our students as well as our families and our employees very safe.
Dr. LeGrand says parents shouldn't be worried right now because the district is doing everything they can to be prepared. And there still is a lot to learn about the coronavirus from health officials, and school leaders say their plan will adjust accordingly as time goes on and more research is done. For now, reporting live in High Point, Brandon Bates, WXII 12 News.
Comprehensive. Brandon, thank you very much. Globally, more than 113,000 confirmed cases of coronavirus are out there. In the U.S., there are more than 900. Health leaders continue to tell Americans to be cautious while also asking for help. Camilla Bernal has the story.
The number of novel coronavirus cases in the U.S. continues to increase.
We will see more cases. Unfortunately, we are likely to see more deaths. We have not hit the peak of this epidemic quite yet.
Health experts saying the risk remains low, but nonetheless, Americans should be careful.
As a nation, we can't be doing the kinds of things we were doing a few months ago, that it doesn't matter if you're in a state that has no cases or one case.
The city of New Rochelle in New York reporting possibly the biggest cluster.
This is literally a matter of life and death. That's not a overly rhetorical statement.
A containment area has been set up and the National Guard will deploy to support the community. Other governors also asking for help. A number of states declaring a state of emergency in order to access federal funds, and calls for test kits continue.
We have not received enough tests. We have tests, we are testing, but we would like to be able to test anybody that shows signs that they need to be tested, and anybody who would like a test.
But the Trump administration saying that 1 million tests are available and 4 million more should be available by the end of the week.
If you believe you may have the novel coronavirus, call the clinic, call the hospital, call the doctor's office so that you don't just walk right in.
In Washington, I'm Camila Bernal reporting.
Burlington-based LabCorp is planning to increase its staff and add equipment because of this coronavirus and the testing going on at its facility. The company started testing samples from around the country last Friday. LabCorp isn't saying how many tests they've completed, just that thousands of tests can be completed daily. The company spokesperson says LabCorp is reaching out and trying to figure out how to expand its testing capabilities at its facility in Burlington. The Ivy League is canceling its basketball conference tournaments because of coronavirus. The men's and women's tourneys were scheduled to be Friday through Sunday in Massachusetts. This is the first cancellation at the Division I basketball level as a result of this virus. The NCAA has set up an advisory panel to look at coronavirus and how it may impact the national tournament scheduled to start on March 17th and the 18th in Dayton, Ohio. The ACC tournament is happening right now in Greensboro as planned. Coliseum officials say staff's taking extra steps to keep teams and their fans healthy. If you go to that tournament, you're going to see additional signs from the CDC and some hand sanitizing stations. Staff also comes in to clean the Coliseum every night. A spokesperson for the ACC says leaders are checking in with schools, health experts, as well as the NCAA.
Commitment 2020 now. It has been a week since North Carolina and the rest of the Super Tuesday primaries. 6 other states are holding contests today, and just like a week ago, it's looking like a really good night for Joe Biden. The former VP and current frontrunner for the Democratic nomination is already projected to take the crucial and delegate-rich state of Michigan, along with Missouri and Mississippi. No winner yet in Idaho, North Dakota, or Washington State, where the polls are still open tonight. The latest NBC News delegate tracker has Mr. Biden up more than 100 on Bernie Sanders at the moment. 1,991 is the magic number to secure the nomination. Counting tonight, 24 states have already held Democratic contests. Next Tuesday, 4 others are up: Florida, Illinois, Ohio, and Arizona. Florida, Illinois, and Ohio are 3 of the 5 remaining states with more than 150 delegates up for grabs. And aside from victories in delegates, Joe Biden also picked up another endorsement tonight from former Democratic presidential candidate Andrew Yang. Crime now happening at this hour in Winston-Salem. Police say a man who was shot in the head this afternoon is now in stable condition at the hospital. This happened on Harding Street shortly before 2:30 today. This is just blocks from Forest Park Elementary School. Investigators have not released the victim's name or any suspect information at this time.
4 people face attempted murder charges in a child abuse case in High Point. Investigators say these people are the child's father, stepmother, and step-grandparents. U.S. Marshals just arrested the step-grandparents Janie Marshall and Russell Brunton. High Point officers arrested Bradley Kimball and Asia Marshall a few days ago. Investigators say someone from an elementary school called police and Child Protective Services. Officers say the child has significant physical injuries and health issues, but is in stable condition. What started as a shooting investigation in Graham has turned into a homicide case now. Police say Antonio Williamson, who was shot in the head Sunday at a house on East Hill Street, has died from his injuries. Investigators say Donald Vincent pulled the trigger. Charges against him have been upgraded now to first-degree murder. Vincent's expected in court tomorrow.
The key witness who helped to convict 5 Winston-Salem teenagers in the 2002 murder of Nathaniel Jones are answering questions as that key witness now recants her statement. Jones is the grandfather of NBA superstar Chris Paul. Jones was beaten to death outside of his home in Winston-Salem nearly 2 decades ago. 2 of the teens who were convicted are currently serving life sentences. The other 3 were released from prison after 12 years. And right now, the North Carolina Innocence Inquiry is taking a second look at those convictions. Bill O'Neill has a recap now from day 2 of these hearings in Raleigh.
The key witness who recanted her testimony in a video deposition shown to commissioners yesterday, today appeared as a live witness, answering questions from those same commissioners. Jessica Black spent several hours testifying how Winston-Salem police threatened the 16-year-old with prison if she didn't tell them what they wanted to hear.
When I went in there through that interrogation, When I first sat down with him, I told him the exact thing I just sat here and told y'all about where we went. Off get-go, I was told I was lying, and it was a constant beat me down over I'm lying.
And how Forsyth County prosecutors provided her with a script telling her what to say during the trial.
This is what you said, so go ahead and take us home with you. Prepare for what you're fixing to go through. And that's what I did.
Black recanted her testimony, saying she never saw the murder of Nathaniel Jones. Commissioners asked her today why, after all these years, she's decided to come forward.
What were you expecting to happen by coming forward and changing your story?
That everything be set right the way it should be, and what happened in those rooms and stuff be known. Like what I mean, just that everything was set straight.
Black was the only eyewitness to the murder. Her testimony helped convict 5 Winston-Salem teenagers, 2 of whom, Nathaniel Cawthon and Rayshawn Banner, who remain in prison today. Commissioners asked Black what she would say to the families of the young men who went to prison, thanks in part to her false testimony.
And I'm sorry that I gave false testimony. And I'm sorry that I'm just sorry.
Thank you.
One of the commissioners noted today that it was clear to him Jessica Black had suffered a traumatic experience with this case and asked whether or not she had ever gotten professional help. Ms. Black answered when she was 19 or 20 years of age, she did get help. In Raleigh, Bill O'Neill, WXII 12 News.